My marriage to Hannah lasted for 2 decades, and honestly, I never imagined it would end. But somehow, it all came crumbling down. If I had to pinpoint it, though, everything can be traced back to one particular moment. Was it just a random misfortune, or was there something deeper at play? To this day, I'm not entirely sure. But that incident really opened my eyes to a whole lot of things I had been blind to. Things happening around me. Things I couldn't even begin to comprehend before. Every year since we got married, I always made it a point to do something small to mark the occasion. Sometimes we'd go out to a nice restaurant or even take a short trip. And without fail, I'd get her the most beautiful flowers. I might not be rich, but when it came to Hannah, I never hesitated to spend. It was one of those days when I could see it really made her happy. Still, she'd always tell me, "Sweetheart, you didn't have to spend so much." I'd look at her with a soft smile and say, "I'd do anything for you. Every moment with you is a blessing." But as our 20th anniversary approached, I wanted to make it unforgettable. A few months earlier, while admiring the image of a running whale, she casually mentioned that she would like to spend a few days on a cruise. I remembered this moment for a long time, and I decided to make it a reality. It wasn't easy, and it certainly wasn't cheap. To make it happen, I had to push myself harder, work longer hours to scrape together enough. Hannah noticed the extra effort, and she wasn't blind to it. She told me, "Jacob, you really don't have to go this far. Is it worth all the sacrifices? I'm here by myself every night, while you're at work, and Nicholas is out with his friends." Speaking of Nicholas, our son is now 19 years old and studying at college. He strives to make a career by immersing himself in a responsible and promising field of activity. The guy has potential. However, I have never felt that we have such a deep fatherly bond. He always thought that I wasn't doing enough for the family. And even though he expressed his displeasure, I didn't let it bother me. I said to myself, he'll understand when he gets older. He'll understand how hard it is to support a family. I always hoped that one day he would understand this. So, on our anniversary, I gave Hannah my present. Of course, the gift came with a beautiful bouquet of flowers. Honestly, she was a little taken aback. But I couldn't hide the fact that the trip had cost me a pretty penny. "Darling, you always go above and beyond. It really means a lot that you care so much about our marriage and make such an effort to keep me happy," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "Well, of course we ride, but don't forget about the loan payments, and you need a license for a scooter too," she added with a sigh. And I can't help but feel a little guilty that we're having so much fun while Nicholas stays at home. I reminded her, "Hannah, his exams are in full swing. How can he give up everything to join us?" She paused and then suggested, "Well, let's take Amelia instead." Her idea was met with enthusiasm, and I agreed. Jacob and Amelia were our witnesses at the wedding. I met Jacob back at university, and we often talked with friends, including Amelia and Hannah. Over time, our relationship became more serious. Like us, our friends went through a similar path: college, marriage, and then family life. We even lived on the same floor of the dorm for a while. Later, we all worked for the same company. After a few years, we managed to get our own apartments in the same area, and we often visited each other. By the end of the 90s, Jacob quit his job to start his own business. I wasn't sure if he would succeed, but he did. They were happy to join us, and Jacob bought 2 cruise tickets. He couldn't wait to take a break from his routine work. "Alex, let's go away for a while. I'll leave everything to my son while we're gone. He'll be fine with everything." So by the end of May, we were already on a cruise ship. The price of the tour included 3 meals a day, guided tours, and entertainment shows. Time flew by unnoticed, and we enjoyed our vacation. Jacob made sure we had a lot of booze, and Logan, the host of the show, was great. His performances were a real highlight. Hannah used to say, "Oh, Logan, I'm just crazy about him." 2 days before the cruise ended, we were lounging on the deck, as usual, while Logan led another entertainment session. Hannah had clearly had a little too much to drink. I'd never seen her like this before. She'd never been one to get involved in the contests. But this time, she seemed out of place. Her speech was slurred, and her movements were uncoordinated, making her seem pretty silly. Jacob, who was even more irritated than I was, leaned in and muttered, "Alex, look at this mess. Do something about it." But before I could react, she was out of sight. Worried that she might do something reckless or even fall overboard, I started looking for her. When I opened the door to our cabin, I was shocked by the picture that opened in front of me. Logan and my wife were together, but there was no real intimacy between them. Tatiana was leaning against the bathroom wall, clearly trying to maintain some semblance of control, while Logan, visibly uncomfortable, was stumbling over his words. "You see," he began, his voice shaky, before she left, "I just gave her some mineral water to help, but it only made things worse. I brought her to the bathroom. And then you showed up." With that, Logan quickly excused himself and headed back to the deck to continue his duties. I turned to my wife, trying to keep my composure. "What the hell is going on? I'm ashamed of you in front of the whole ship." Her answer was harsh, and there was bitterness in her voice. "I've been ashamed of you for years. You can't feed your family, and you're useless in bed." Her words were like a blow. "I married you for Jacob. Your son is not really from you." She stopped, feeling that her strength had run out, and collapsed onto the bed, immediately bursting into deep drunken snoring. In that moment, everything I thought I knew about my life shattered. I began to replay everything in my mind. All those times when something felt off, but I had chosen to ignore it. The empty champagne bottle and 2 wine glasses on the table, the flowers in a vase that I couldn't remember buying, or the unfamiliar scent of cologne lingering in the apartment. I had always convinced myself there was a reasonable explanation, or at least I told myself that to avoid facing the truth. Then a memory surfaced. One day Jacob let something slip. I hadn't fully realized it at the time, but now it hit me like a bolt out of the blue. "I came to visit you yesterday, but you weren't at home. It's funny, but I bumped into Hannah. She got me drunk, fed me, and even put me to bed." He said it so casually, but it was clear from his expression that he knew exactly what was going on. The divorce was quick. My son did not take my side, and it seemed that everyone had turned away from me. I decided to start my life with a clean slate and move to another city. I couldn't stand cruise ship tours anymore.